In the late 19th and early 20th century, child labor in textile mills was common and even accepted in the United States. Tennessee, however, had a law against children under 14 working and enforced it more than most states with the law did. Still, many textile plant owners were displeased by that. Children were cheap labor in large quantities. Letters from businessman E. L. McLean to textile mill owner Lewis M. Coleman detail McLean's views that Coleman's mill could not function without child labor. He says that if we were located in or near a city, we could draw enough help out of the city to make up for the loss we would sustain by reason of the 14-year age limit. But the mill was located in the country around Chattanooga. He expressed that the mill would be more profitable if they moved it to a state where child labor laws were not enforced. This was not the only thing that was hard on Tennessee's textile mills. All over the South there were problems. World War I was over, and so were the opportunities for making military uniforms. 20s fashions were also hurting the textile mills. Early 20th century fashions had used copious amounts of fabric, which made large profits. The Roaring Twenties brought on simpler designs and shorter skirts. Mills were out for even more money. All the financial problems brought on pay reductions for workers. Unrest was brewing all through the South's textile mills, but it finally spilled over in Elizabethton, Tennessee. On March 12, 1929, Margaret Bowen led a walkout of 523 women at the Glanstoff textile plant. The other shifts followed suit, and the plant closed on the 14th. 4 days later, the Bemberg plant, also of Elizabethton, had a sympathy strike. The strikes were in protest of low wages, unfair promotion policies, and gender discrimination. They ended 4 days later when the mill owners agreed not to discriminate against union workers, a promise they did not keep. Still, the Elizabethton strike inspired many others across the South, including the famous strike of Lori Mills. Then, in 1934, a textile workers' strike across New England and the South began, lasting for 22 days and representing a high point for the textile worker for decades. Then, workers waited 4 long years to get a reward for their strike. President Roosevelt signed the Fair Labor Standards Act. It created a minimum wage, just 40 cents an hour at the time, banned child labor, and set a 40-hour work week. Finally, the struggle that had gathered steam in Tennessee had brought real, federal change.